Hoover and Meyer Ball.
What page are you on, sir?
I'm on page 12.
Okay.
So council back to order and, so we've heard from Spielberg and the Spielberg Minor Ball. Go forward is. Are you doing the Spielberg Minor Ball or not? So, go ahead, Councilor.
I kind of think so, like, I think the way things have grown there and to activate kids in the community, something like the price of the tractor is half of that, for minor balls, half of that cost. And like, I think that's even a low estimate in my mind, but
Okay, any other comments on Spielberg Minor Ball? Councilor Yetman.
My thought was they hadn't requested anything in the past, so we'd give them half.
Okay.
So we're gonna pay for the tractor, or we're gonna pay for equipment? Because that's the way it's broken. They have to get a new tractor, so. And they won't be back in the future, to my knowledge. That's why I support it.
You would?
I support it because I don't expect them back.
So, Adam.
Question around the tractor, if we buy the tractor, is it the county tractor or are we doing the maintenance on it, like who? They know how they wanna do that?
That would be nice if you bought it.
Well, I mean, if it's in their budget,
They're looking for a used one. They want to get a used lawnmower tractor, and they don't need the more. The last one was donated about 10 years ago. That tractor's 30 years old. You have serviced it.
yeah, question that.
It's just now wore out.
So I don't think we want to own it.
No,
I'm more than happy to let them own it, but. Oh, what's the number we're gonna use? Introduction.
Full request. I think we've
You're
done.
moving. You have a seconder? Seconded by Gillis, any discussion on the 6,000? Councilor Buckner.
I tend to agree with that because I think, as far as I can remember back, they haven't come to us for anything, so this is kind of a one-off. And it is because they are promoting something that is getting kids out of the house and out of the streets, so. I would show support for it.
Any other comments? Sorry, I guess we have to now. Any further comments? All those in favor of 6,000? Oh, that's carried. Okay, let's move back then to, the other one was the, Schuberg Parks, 16,500. Go ahead, Councilor Gillis.
I think they kind of have to have it. You gotta maintain that diamond to be able to provide that service or have them using that park, because I think if we don't, that's just gonna cost more to bring it back up further down the road.
Okay. You're moving to 16,500.
Yeah,
Now, remind me again, 4,000 is under their operating, so it doesn't part, they're not calling that as part of the Rex, they're paying the whole shot there, okay? You moved it, you have a seconder, seconded by Brookner, any discussion? None, all in favor? Okay. The Mondo and Brownsville, park. Playground equipment is based on, whether they get a grant or not.
Correct.
Did we agree to the Hilltop Park? I think we did. Oh, I know you do. I mean, I don't want to put stuff through, I don't want to miss anything either, so. The general agreement on Hilltop Park, and that's Counselor Yitman.
Not about Hilltop, just thinking further about Mount Ogden, so. I mean, we're looking at a very fairly unreasonable request in terms of infrastructure, parks, rec, all boards, whatever. Should we be withdrawing our request for funding from the province for that project, knowing that it's probably gonna cost us a good chunk of money alongside of that anyway? Because those are 50% cost share. In a lot of the case.
For what we applied for.
They're contributing higher, not we're
Yeah,
contributing.
they're contributing more than 50%, if it was, that's why. And that's why I'm highly doubtful, based on the number of applications they received, that we will be successful.
And ours didn't show any kind of unique
There was no,
characteristics that,
Mr. Chairman, looking for innovation. There was nothing
Yeah.
innovative about what we were doing. That was something that they were looking at as well. And it didn't focus on a group, so to speak, that some of the other projects of people that were submitting did. So use for example, looking at development of youth, that type of thing. I know it's an outdoor play area, but I don't know what their preference is moving forward. They did list a number of criteria, but you don't know what the other projects that have come forward will include. And if it's anything that's considered innovative, it could stand a better chance of being accepted.
that was pretty, at least what I thought we were putting in
Basic.
for was basic
Yeah,
playground equipment. I didn't see a whole lot of innovation. I mean, if I were judging it, I wouldn't have said, oh, that's really, different, unique, so. I'm doubtful we're gonna get it. I'd be shocked if we got that. Not sure about Brownsville.
I would be surprised if we did, but you never know.
Hilltop Park. I know Val's in for Hilltop Park, or we have to Hilltop. I don't see a whole lot of no's. Go ahead, Marion.
As far as maintenance of that goes, Adam, what would that involve? Like as far as cost goes?
Gwen knows there's no maintenance to the one in Zora. We did go up and look at that one. There's just the nets that go up and down once a year. Other than that, I don't think there's much maintenance to it. I mean, we could, have to make it once in a while with something, but I'm sure. But yeah, I don't believe there's any maintenance to it. It certainly didn't look like it, the one in Zora.
So we're adding a little bit of sand that we sweep off streets of Sweetwater.
Yeah.
Maybe beach roads.
Just a question, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Are we building this ourselves? So you're gonna clear the topsoil?
Yep. I'll likely do it myself on weekends or something like that, do it as cheap as possible.
So
Maybe
the
use some public works.
cost of $7,500, is that for sand?
Mostly sand, and then the nets and the boats and all that kind of good stuff.
And Councilor Bugner?
Adam, just a question, when you dig a hole like that and it's fairly clay ground there, are you gonna have to put in some sort of drainage as well?
Yeah, we do have a drainage right off the side of that, we're supposed to put it. We did run a header up when we built the playground, so we can drain everything to that header and send it.
Okay.
We do have drainage.
Good. I think we approved that. I'm back to Mount Ogden, where I'm coming down on page 13, Mount Ogden Hall. I suggested we will put in some money this year and then some next year, thinking that it's gonna take them a while to get engineered drawing and all that sort of stuff. My guess is they might not get it built in 25 anyways. If they knew that they could do it in 26, it gives them more time to think about it and exactly design what they want. Councilor Yisman, that's your board.
Yeah, we had a meeting last night and I did bring that proposal up. And nobody at the table was surprised to hear that. I think it was kind of expected.
So the question then would be, how much do we want to put in this year as compared to next year? And while our share theoretically is 150, I'm guessing by next year it's more. And so I wondered about putting in 85,000 this year and the balance next year, and then they pay the other 25%. Like maybe more or less than 85 next year, but I'm guessing probably it's gonna be in that range. Open to whatever council wants to do, so. Go ahead, Marion.
So could they potentially get the engineering and design done in 2025? And then we'd have an actual cost of what it would cost in the balance 2026.
That's why I wanted to put some in, so if it was preliminary work, we can get that done.
Okay,
And, so it's not that they're doing nothing, but as committee work, it could easily be summer before they kind of decided what they want and send it off to an engineer, which means another few months before we see something. I don't know. What number do you want to put in there?
I would put in 85,000, but I'd take out the stalls.
Okay,
So it'll be done.
They have to.
so the stalls in or out?
They're in.
They need replacement. They're in tough shape.
So would that be a hall where we might want to make a whole new washroom that was unisex or whatever we call it nowadays?
I had proposed that at one point. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot of buy-in just yet, but
Okay, so you want to solve about 10? 85 plus 10, any discussion? And Fulton's Hall, they put in for painting. And Councillor Way said take it out.
oh, okay.
It's a don't, he didn't think they'd put anything in this year, they can wait. Also, they're in need for a picture. So what does that get us to now, Brooke? I've got 11 for, museum barn. 5,000 for Durham Center. 1,750 for Salford. 95 for, Mount Elgin. Let's see,
128.5.
I'm just trying to remember which one I just mentioned, we did the museum. 15.5 for, Speedbird. 7,500 for Hilltop. But I've got them.
you include the 20 for the pavilion at Lowville.
Thought I did, but I may have missed it, sorry, thank you. The other one was there, you have over here, but.
Well, on the parks capital side, I have us just down to 419 total in 2025. If we just took the Beachville Parks pavilion down by 5,000. And that's on page 12, and then on page 13, the total for 2025 capital is 128, down from 313.
Dr. Berger,
So I don't understand the numbers. Did we leave the playground equipment in Brownsville then?
yes, if they get the grant,
Okay, so it's in.
and the same with Mount Elgin.
The concern was your comment, Councillor Buckner's comment that we had to increase that because of the plastic or the rubber floor.
So maybe they get a smaller piece of playground equipment.
Yeah.
And that is why you have to live within it, so,
Okay.
okay? And now where are we? I'm just wondering where we are.
Is budget concerned?
Yeah,
Well, I think we added 25,000 with the transfer
yeah.
to reserve.
So we back, are we down now to public works or
I think,
did we do anything on building?
no, that building, will be. There will be a change on the contract without.
Okay, so we'll come back in the budget. Okay. And in public works? What were we slashing there? Adam, what were you gonna, sacrifice?
I can't remember what you put in your parking lot that day.
I think it's Quinn Street.
Well, yeah, there was one that we could. If.
Is part of the county project to do the rest of it, right? Like, that little wee strip.
If it's approved, then yes, the county will do it. That's part of their tender. Production self-approved.
Counselor Jones.
I think we should leave that part on there. We're not gonna get it cheaper ourselves. We gotta come back later, so it's gonna cost us more money. This is the better way to get it done, and they're right there. So.
Counselor Bill, sorry.
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Mayor, to road superintendent. So obviously with the roads highlighted, fair replacement this year, like, I know West Hill Line takes a lot of patchwork going on. Are there other roads that are, you know, seeing a lot of patchwork, or you're gonna save on not doing as much patchwork by getting a couple of these roads off the list, or?
Part of what we packed a few years ago. Did Union this past year, airport's due for some patching, but they're all identified in the budget, future budget. For this. This one will help, but our patching budget is down, coal patching. Where we used to be always consistently over budget on material for coal patching, so we're in good shape that way, we're getting the major ones knocked.
So I don't hear any changes there. Under projects, nothing under equipment. I think it was just the tandem axle truck and the truck that snowplow.
Two things that are.
No. Okay, anything under waste management we haven't already dealt with? Planning and development? Here it says development of fiber, development's 200,000. But in the budget only shows 180. Someone, and that was so. The transfer to reserves,
Sorry.
well, in the budget, or in the budget book at page 130, when you look at transfer to reserve. 204 and 205. Oh, increase to fire there. Oh, increased, okay, it's there, it's 180 plus 20, I missed the. Okay, thank you. Forget about that. Anything else under economic development? Nothing of being ROEDC or anything? Anything under drainage? Or Phyllis, or
I had asked Counselor Way about the dam and Gammon Basket Bears. He was gonna ask that question at Upper Thames today, so he was gonna go back to us about that.
So I wonder, there's only one board left in the dam. There, and then it's not all the way down. So like, the boards only go up 2 or 3 high, 3 or 4 high before, that's the most water you can hold back. I'm wondering why the one board is there. Like it, the sill is built out to almost the size of the board. If you took that last board out, I think you wouldn't have any water there left at all. I mean, it'd be a little puddle around right at the dam. But I was being they're taking that out and just letting it flow across the way it normally would.
I was wondering why there wasn't 3. Like who took the top 2 out, or who made the call to make it where it is?
So the choice is, yeah, either dam it up and create a dam, in which case we're creating a liability issue because Upper Thames says we have no engineering on that dam to tell us that it's safe. And my answer would be, well, then if it's not safe, you probably should take that last one. It would be worthwhile asking Upper Thames to come and explain it to us. I don't know,
Implications of silt going downstream. We take that board out, would it be certain times of year that would not be allowed? I think. We need some clarification.
because that's what they tell us, so.
Mhm.
And if they're gonna reroute or do something there anyways, by taking out the dam, at some point, something's going downstream.
Right.
Because they don't want you to take it all away. Anyways, it might be worth having,
UTRC can,
come in and explain exactly what they're planning, before we agree to 37,000 plus $4,000 extra.
Okay.
Anything else under drainage? So the one question, stormwater management plan. It's about 75,000 in fees this year. Plus 75,000, you know, the stormwater. Stormwater management fund.
yes, there's been some brushing done this year that we'll have to take care of. Because it was quite extensive. Should continue to do so.
So the fee for RW2
Mhm.
for 2025 is how much in total? Like it says 43 here, but
So
that's the
that's.
transfer. So that's all we got to pay in 2025.
Correct. But they'd still be based on, and Brooke, correct me if I'm wrong here. This is just for a portion of phase 3. And the rest of phase 2, correct? Yeah.
But 43,000, which includes the completion of phase 2 and a portion of phase 3.
Okay.
The details of bylaw manual. Negotiation agreement with the county, develop the phase 3 work plan, and develop the financial plan.
So Councilor Brookman.
Just a question, for the stormwater management reserve, Could development charges fall under that you could put some of that in there?
No.
You can't know.
No, we haven't, in our 5-year plan, we haven't accommodated that, and I don't know that we could. I don't know that I'd have to check in whether storm drainage would be an acceptable fee, that's accepted for future development for DCs.
Mhm.
The development has basically happened. My understanding is, and now we're trying to figure out moving forward, whether it would be best to basically abandon portions of the municipal drains and go through the storm drainage cost process. Billing it to each property and not, so they don't get a big hit moving forward. So accumulating a reserve with interest, accumulating to pay for all future costs in relation to that particular area for the existing infrastructure.
Would it be interesting if we could divert some of the development charges to a reserve like the stormwater management, so something to look into maybe.
Yeah, but where our plan doesn't come up for another 5 years, so that would be a special request that we'd have to endeavor to do, pay for, to look at the possibility.
If the clean out of the drainage there, it doesn't cover it because it's not new development.
It's not new development.
Maintenance of all our management plans for the future. I don't know if that would, because I don't remember that development charges for someone, I mean, the water wastewater.
So the developer pays for the development of the infrastructure as part of
And then you have to.
then the maintenance has to come, and that
Okay.
comes from.
Yeah.
I found your way, you arrived at just an ideal time, because we wanted to know what you found out about the,
Gabion baskets at the Centerville Dam.
yeah,
Originally, it was scheduled, the dam was scheduled for a DSR, dam safety review in 2025. They did an observation recently, and the dam is in need of Gabion baskets or it's going to fall over. So to protect our,
all over which way?
it'll collapse, it'll drain with all the sediment. It's leaning and the concrete at the bottom is,
It's leaning north. What you're telling me.
yeah, leaning towards the north,
So the dirt and sludge and everything behind it is pushing it north.
pushing it. And if it goes over, there's a chance that there's a house that could get hit with a bunch of mud. So that's why they're gonna suggest that we put Gabion baskets in there for now. And then in 2026, do a DSR, which will be between $40,000 and $50,000. And the options would be replace, repair, remove, dredge. And then in 2027, there would be an environmental assessment. But the environmental assessment is, you might, right now, there is funding through the provincial government if you do an environmental assessment to decommission. But there isn't any help from the government if you're gonna repair the dam or replace it. So you're looking at probably any work to be done to be 27, 28. So that's why they said the baskets need to go in now.
We should have a fun talk to us, because if we could skip 2 of those steps and go right to the environmental. Like we may have to do the Gabion basket.
Well, we'll definitely have to do the
Yeah.
Gabion basket, but there's a procedure that we have to follow through Conservation Ontario. And we have to do a DSR, a complete study of the dam. And I don't know, I can ask, I have another meeting in December. And it's the same day as our night meeting, so I could ask them if we could skip one of those procedures. Put the baskets in and go right to an environmental file.
Oh,
So you have to have the DSR to figure out what procedure you're gonna go forward with. And then you do your environmental assessment, whatever procedure you're going to choose.
so I'm just wondering if we could jump the queue and say we're not going to council's,
Considering a decommissioning.
yeah,
I could ask them at
Just
on our next meeting,
Cost.
and I'll have an answer by that night, when I come to the night meeting. But that's the state of it, it's not good shape. So that's where it's at.
The question I asked is, there seems to be only one board left in a dam.
Yeah, there's no one board, but it's the concrete and
I
the,
don't know, I'm just wondering, why don't they pull that board out and take that water out of it, take that pressure out of it? Bill.
yeah, I can ask them that. Yeah. I was talking to Chris Tasker, he's the one who looks after that, he said that dam is not good. He said, I don't think it will last another year without collapsing. If we get a big heavy. And the only downside, if it collapsed and took a house out, we're responsible.
So can it wait till next year?
What's that?
Can it wait till next year?
House is it,
Damn, like
but it collapsed.
the collapse, like,
How about we just sandbag the house and let nature take its course?
But the thing is, if it collapses, water and mud is very powerful, right? We all know that. And if it takes a direction towards the house, there's a house that could get land-based.
so is it prudent to wait till 2025 to do the gabion baskets, or should they be done sooner?
I think they're gonna get them in sooner than what you think. It probably would be winter, providing it's not harsh, probably first of the year they're gonna get them in. But I'll have some answers at the
Yeah,
17th.
okay,
So that's where we're at.
so I guess we're not taking that out of the budget, so. Okay, so anything else with the budget then? Go ahead.
So should that because that 35,000 come out of reserve? It's gonna be a one-time thing? One-time thing, or should tax dollar?
So that gets us down to, where are we now, budget wise? What the tax increase is now, and then, what are we gonna do about it? So, Brooke, the number is,
10.32%.
what's the total dollar amount of taxation? Is that taxation or, budget? So what's the taxation?
That's what 10%. That's taxation, so that's 10%.
10% for taxation.
Yeah.
And that's assuming we do or don't get the two parking. That's it. But our share of those is only 100,000.
For the two playgrounds.
But that comes out of reserve, that doesn't come out. So that's why I say the difference between what's in the budget and what's taxation. Right, if something is in reserve, it's coming out of reserves. I'm just trying to, what is the level of taxation compared to what is the level of budget? Council Secretary.
I was gonna ask Brooke if that still included, interest and principal on the 950,000 potential, because that would help us for a percent.
Like I increased it. I increased it from 118 to 125. There's a cap down payment this year.
Or the bench?
I got rid of the debenture, I just increased. The debenture is gonna cost us 118,000. I have to put 120,000 to make it easy numbers.
Do we need it?
Maybe.
Do we need to, if we borrow from reserve? 2025?
Then we don't have any money if we don't. Because we were planning on that 125 taxation to make the first payment, or to make part of the total 975.
Sorry. So if we're borrowing let's say we're borrowing 700,000 from reserve, just as an example. Right?
Yeah, we owe 975.
Right, but there's funds coming from reserves to buffer that to lower it. to what?
850.
Lower it to 850?
No, there's money coming from taxation to lower it to 850.
Then where's the next?
And the 850 comes 150 from tax stabilization for working capital. And 700 from the other account.
Okay, so I had 125 from taxation seed money, that's what you're talking about.
Right, and that gets rid of the debenture first payment plus
Okay, sorry
the
about
interest,
that. Yeah, I get
which
it.
was only 118, so we actually gained 7,000 on that. Like, we didn't gain that. The taxation gained 7,000. But going forward, we'll see at the end.
So, put that 125 come from reserve.
Next year, we're gonna have to put it in, and we don't have it, it's better to put it in this year.
Okay. Yep.
And then next year, you're gonna have to go from 125 to whatever you want to pay down the, or to add to the, reserve.
Okay.
To put it back there, so.
Okay,
So, assuming we're at 10% approximately. The other thought I had was, would we take, another 150 out of, tax stabilization? First 150 pays for land, the next 150 pays for tax stabilization to lower the, tax increase, tax levy increase. And that will go over 2%, or just a hair over 2%, gets down to 8%. And the reason I'm thinking that is because the, we have a surplus in tax stabilization, and the purpose of tax stabilization is to try and even out. Go ahead, ma'am.
so if the benefit is for tax stabilization, it's a one-time, it's a one-off. It can help you to offset that one-off cost for that particular year. This is my opinion. The problem is that if you use something that's gonna be happening on a regular basis, let's say $150,000 that you're going to require each year, and you take it out of tax stabilization, eventually you're going to have to put it back in. So you'll have to put that 150 back in the budget because that expense is continuing to happen. So if it's a one-time thing, it wouldn't. But the implications of just the long-term that expense continuing is that eventually you're going to have to put it back in the budget. But it could be in a year where, yes, say your tax levy isn't as significant. So
Over the years, we put 150 a year in, and we haven't spent it till last year. And that's how we got built up to 1.8 million. And so this year we had to spend the 500 and some, so that brings us down to 1.3. And I'm suggesting put in 150, but we basically take out 300. Which actually just lowers it by 150, because we're taking out 150 for land purchase and 150 to stabilize. Next year, I'm hoping we keep that 150 in. But I think by next year, we better have, or we should have a better idea of what the actual amount we need to put in each year for a particular property in relationship to Anderson. And that's what I say, I'm not opposed to putting a 150 in, because my guess is it's in the $80,000 range, $75,000-$80,000 range. That doesn't necessarily, because I don't have anything to lease it on other than, so I'm saying, well, leave it this year, and next year, maybe we can jig it so that we actually put the right amount away every year based on what we think is going to happen in that tax rebate program that will go on for as long as that industry is there. Dr. Gillis.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's what that accounts for. I do agree with Mariano's thoughts, you know, it not being a regular thing, but I think, you know, we don't purchase land on a regular basis. That's our one-off deal, and I think that's the appropriate use for a tax stabilization account to bring that down. So I think it's a good idea.
So, that would effectively bring it down to about 8%. We have 1% growth, which effectively brings it down to 7. The real numbers will come next week at council meeting. I'm just. Where's everybody sitting? Like, you can cut, you can add, you can subtract, it's all up to you. I'm just throwing out ideas that. Councilor Bookman.
There was some talk about surplus from this year, but we won't know that for quite a while, would we?
Well, the surplus we were talking about is 2023. And that surplus number is 300. We're
The auditor's number is 600,000.
600.
I just have to calculate it, it's the same, I'm sure.
So out of that 600, how much of it has to go to dedicated reserve?
Well, it's like a council.
No, but is there any, you know what I mean, reserves, that it has to go back to? So if we took out a developmental charge, we gotta go back to developmental charge. If there's a surplus in that funding,
So, building would be one, if there was a
Yep.
surplus for building, it would have to go into the obligatory reserve.
Yeah.
we'll put it up and,
I need to remind her.
there won't be from gas back. Development charge would be the other one. That's the only two that theoretically would be,
Yeah, so that's,
149. Those are the only two that I can think of that would want to go back. The gas tax that Condomino does is as long as used for construction or roads. And whether it's our money or their money, they don't know, so it's always their money first. There's nothing to do with that. I always spend the gas tax first and then you start spending your own money.
Yeah, gas tax is a budget item, we get it first and.
Okay, so there wouldn't be a lot
No.
out of that. I thought it was roughly 300, so thank you. The 600,000, I suppose the question then becomes, is 7% a number you can live with? For a taxation increase, or do you want to reduce it further? Or increase it further? That's a good issue.
What was our increase last year?
420. 490, something like that. The other thing is, when I think about any kind of surplus from and there may not be so much from 2024, is that if we're trying to build a reserve for future building, that would be a handy place to start it as well.
It's 5.7 this year.
5.7 before the low flood. That got it down to 4 something. You don't have to decide today, I just. Councilor Becker.
How would we get it down to 7%? If we use other reserves,
So
we take
right now, if you took 150,000 out of taxation, you go from 10 to 8. And with growth, that would make it 7. If you want to go below, and this is rough numbers. We'll see these numbers next week. I'm just saying, kind of that's the ballpark where are we? So I guess.
And you're saying that we essentially have somewhere in the neighborhood of 500,000 in surplus from 2023 that we have yet to decide how we're going to use.
Yep.
Then I
Will
would,
you know that next meeting?
No.
No, okay.
I would suggest we bring our budget down 1 more percent, get it down to 6.
Are you gonna name the reserve or will we leave that up to staff to do
Yeah,
bring back a recommendation?
I would leave that to staff to bring their recommendation, but assuming that it would come from the 23 surplus. One shape, way, shape, form or another.
Okay. That's what 75,000 out of that. Okay. Any other suggestions? So 6 is the number that you're kind of aiming for? Oh, whoa. Like a.
Yeah, yeah, in fact, we did
increase, for 7% increase is 6%. Because we have about almost 1% growth.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on this? Councilor Booker.
I just think that's the best we can do, I think. When you sit here and talk of where some of the other ones are starting, we're still moderate compared to what they're having to hammer away at. So.
We're taking on a number of big projects in the next couple of years, land purchase being the first one of them. So I think 6 is a number that I can live with. My only question would be, would we use some of the 23 surplus, a further amount to bolster some other reserves yet?
Which raises in my mind the question of, if you're gonna build a building, where is it coming from? And at some point, we should A, establish timeline, and B, establish how much money do you want to have to start that process. You're gonna borrow 100%, you're gonna borrow 50%, but that might help us drive into your case. Go ahead, Councilor.
From Mary Ellen, where are we at in the asset management planning process?
We are not yet accounting for it in our future plans for building replacement, that type of thing. So we have data. We're just not, it's not being included in the budget yet. It's a budgetary expense for the future. So putting money into reserve for the various things that are going to need to be done based on the timeline that we're looking at. So roof replacements, what's the other one? HVAC, depending on the size of the building. Mount Elgin, for example, that would be a major expense. Buildings themselves, like without the components. Although quite a few of our fire buildings aren't that old. And well, this building's, well, we're looking at doing something about that, but so yeah, the whole that whole process, we still have not implemented into the budget. Did you read that?
I just remember a report coming to council a number of years ago outlining our reserves for roads, bridges, culverts was significantly underfunded.
Yes.
And just wondering, eventually that's got to get built up as well.
Right, so based on our reserve policy, so we do have an existing reserve policy. So there is usually a report that comes forward to council with whoever's sitting in regards to that policy. But there's been no change in that policy yet based on asset management.
So asset management will actually fine tune our policy.
Correct.
It will say, yes, setting up this number for roads is okay, but it should be here, or it should be here. For long term. So. It will impact our reserves for sure. But there's no law that you have to get to the target in any particular order, and that's what I think. We've had targets a whole lot less than 6 or 8 million. I mean, we've had reserves a whole lot less than 6 or 7 million. A whole lot less. And they got built up, and then they get built. So I'm not as worried as some would be about this, because I think we haven't done a pretty good job of maintaining, and certainly this council has been very good about. We need money. We ask for it. I don't think we waste a lot. So, but knowing that the province wants us to move to an asset management program, I agree with that. I think that's a good idea. I'm not sure that it should handcuff you all the time. So, you're gonna bring a report on future building.
To the next council meeting.
Okay, will it have recommendations or on timeline or funding?
It will have,
Or
we'll be starting at a fairly high level in what type of design we're going to be looking at and what the purpose is going to be. Let's start there.
any questions or comments on that? Seeing any, so we'll wait for the report.
Yeah.
Anything further for council today? Anything I forgot? Do we have to do a confirmation bylaw? We do, so. All right, so, go back to, confirmation bylaw, we have mover and a seconder, moved by Gillis, second by Becker. Results, bylaw 81, before being a bylaw, according to the council on Tuesday, November 26th, 2024, second, third time. This 26th day of November 2024, that's the report, here's the alcohol, sign, the bylaw, fixed purpose, any discussion? All in favor, opposed, that's carried, and a motion to adjourn. Moved by Gilbert, second by Yipman, resolved that no further business. Council meeting be adjourned at. Meet again on Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024 at 9 a.m. Discussion, all those in favor?